Secretary of Foreign Affairs International Relations, Ambassador Macharia Kamau, joins us live. Sir, thank you so much for your time and patience. Let me refer to that story there. There's a gentleman by the name of Franklin Asira who said the government may have been a little too slow in bringing returnees back home. In other words, there's no time. Some of them need to go back to university. Some of them are graduating. And this process took so long. What do you say?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here today, Jeff. Let me say that I really understand the emotions that must have been going through the parents of the children who are in Wuhan. This was not an easy decision for the government to make. But you'll also recall at the time that the city was on lockdown. And those countries, some of which did try to evacuate some of their people from China at the time, really caused a lot of problems from themselves. In fact, they say that in a country like the United States, the beginning of the spread happened because of the evacuation at that time, when not many in the world truly understood the implications of evacuating people in the context of that epidemic. So I think Kenya made the right decision, and time has proven us right, that we were very considerate. We took great strides to ensure that the students were given support and help where they were. We got assurances from the Chinese government and the Wuhan city administration that the students would be given the support they needed in place. And I think it's clear that once we decided that the situation had stabilized enough, the lockdown in China had been pulled down, and that we could actually begin to contemplate facilitating those Kenyans who would be able to come back. We realized immediately that not very many of them wanted to come back after all, that they felt safe, that they understood the situation better, that they had already gone through the very difficult time that they went through, but had come out stronger for it and remained focused on their education, which is a good thing.
All right, let's switch over from Asia to Europe. Are you organizing any flights for Kenyans in Europe to come home?
Well, as you know, the principle that we are working with is that wherever there is a flight that is available that comes to Nairobi, remember, all these countries, including Kenya, do not allow international passenger travel. So it's not like we can just begin flying in and out of countries as we wish. So what we are doing is that we are cooperating with other airlines, other countries, including our own Kenya Airways, when they go out, say, to drop off cargo, that they look at opportunities to bring back students. So indeed, London has proven to be one such destination. And we have seen at least one flight, and we're expecting another one on Friday, to bring back stranded Kenyans who are trying to make their way home. We have seen, though, other flights from other parts brought in by Emirates or by Egypt Air or by other airlines that have come back here either to pick up their own citizens or to drop off cargo or pick up cargo for that matter.
Balozi, we're also hearing there's about 200 Kenyan students stuck in Hungary, and they're in major distress there. Tell us about that.
Well, the situation in Hungary is not unlike the situation in Iran. The difficulty we are facing, of course, is finding a connection in and out of those countries. These are countries that are on lockdown, where we have our own students. But what we have done is that we have gone to great lengths to negotiate with the local government to make sure that the students are kept in hostels, that they are fed and that they're taken care of. And now in the case of Europe, as you know, it's beginning to open up. The weather is changing, it's warming up. And we expect that things will begin to return to normal. Iran is a different situation. We have about 80 students there, and the situation remains pretty dire. But nonetheless, the government has remained very helpful, communicative, and has reached out to the students and made sure that they are well.
Okay, from Hungary, let's go to London, Balozi. And in April, Kenya's High Commissioner to London said that any Kenyan returnee had to be COVID-free. Now, the UK government says only those are testing only their own nationals right now. So if Kenyans are not a priority right now in the UK, What are we doing about those there if they do test positive or if they do want to come home?
Well, first of all, you know, you do realize that we are in communication with the British government. It's a friendly government to us. And we do implore that they facilitate the testing of Kenyans who want to come home, and in fact they have. But many of those who come through London also are from the United States or from Italy or from other places. We have a number, maybe almost 500 maritime Kenyans, people who work on luxury cruises and boats around the world, who have gone out in the last few years as part of the job creation opportunities that government has provided for young people. And what we have seen is that those ships have now been docked around the world, not just in the UK. And we are trying to get them all home. And in their case, they get tested where they are, whether it is in Genoa, in Italy, or in Southampton in the UK. And then they come and board the plane and come home. In reality, we cannot take the chances of bringing people who are COVID positive in a plane, having them infect each other on that plane, and then arrive into Kenya with COVID. Remember that the first case and all the major first cases in this country came from abroad. They came by planes. So we have to be doubly careful.
Balozi, 30 Kenyans have died in the diaspora. 30. Is that shocking?
It is significant. Yes, every death is a shock, Jeff. There's no question about that. Of those 30, about 29, maybe 25 are COVID related. The others are from other causes that, you know, Kenyans do die anyway in a normal year, because we have 3 million Kenyans abroad, so people do die from different causes. But of those who died from the COVID, usually, and I think without exception, every single one of them had underlying causes: hypertension, diabetes, obesity, something else was going on. So COVID being somewhat opportunistic, kind of took advantage of that and led them to their demise. It's very tragic. I can tell you it's very, very hard, because for some of them, coming home is not an option. Bringing the bodies home is not an option. Having funerals is not an option. It's extremely difficult. It's a painful thing for those who have to go through this. We lost one staff member, as you may have heard. Mm-hmm. She died, though. She was not a COVID case. She just died of natural cases. And in fact, if I may say so, Jeff, today is her daughter's birthday. Oh. Little Chantel, who was 7, turned 7 today, and I just want to wish her a happy birthday. I called her a little earlier. She's there in Los Angeles with her sister, who's 25. They are orphans now. Their father died 2 years ago, and it's really very sad that they were not able to come home, and our heart goes out to them as we wish little Chantel a very happy birthday.
Absolutely, and we include that in our thoughts and prayers for little Chantel. Thanks for that, Balozi. Bottom line, millions of Kenyans are literally watching you from overseas right now. They're watching you and they're looking for assurances. What do you tell them right now, Balozi?
You know, this is probably, if not the most singular, challenging event in the memory of anybody alive today. There are not too many people who lived through the Second World War. And to be honest, it is very difficult to imagine a global shutdown of this magnitude. Not even during the Second World War did we have a global shutdown like we do today. The situation is extremely difficult. To have over 300,000 people dead, 4 million infected. And mind you, Jeff, people think that's not a big number because, of course, larger number of people have died. But in reality, you have to understand that this is in modern times when governments were putting in preventative systems, when people were alerted to the virus, when people were being treated in modern hospitals, and still we have this situation raging in the world. So it just shows you how vicious a challenge we are facing. And if governments hadn't taken the efforts that they are making right now, I can assure you this would have been a devastating story. Jeff, you remember that in 1924-25, after when we had the Spanish flu, the world lost 25 million people. And that flu wasn't even as vicious as the coronavirus. So you can imagine, if we didn't have these lockdowns and curfews around the world, we would lose literally hundreds of millions of people. That is the counterfactual, and people should never forget that.
Absolutely, Balozi, but there's one thing, I don't know why you're telling me remember in 1925. I wasn't there, but I read about it. You're right. Thanks for your time, Ambassador Macharia Kamau. Appreciate that. Good luck going forward. That's Principal Secretary, Foreign Affairs and International Relations, Ambassador Macharia Kamau, speaking to us about the returnees. We're going to take a quick break. We have a bit of sports. And